What's up, boys? Doublelift here with a different type of video. I'm going to do a quick overview on the question that I get the most on stream, which is why do I always start longsword 3-pot instead of Doran's blade? I think at this point everyone is kind of used to Doran's being the default starting item, either Doran's blade or Doran's shield. There's always been some exceptions, like starting Tyr on Ezreal or starting boots on Jhin. A lot of people have never seen longsword as a starting option, and they're pretty curious about why it's taking off. First, let's take a look at professional players across every region, and we will see that, yep, it's extremely popular and it's the go-to choice for most champs. So I'm going to explain the pros and cons of both. Longsword gives 2 more AD, comes with 2 extra pots, and will build into your first core item. Doran's gives 80 more HP, 2.5% OmniVamp, but builds into nothing. There are 2 main reasons why you would start Longsword, and the first is that you are now permanently 350 gold invested into your build. Since the introduction of mythic items, there's never been a more impactful 1 item power spike for AD carries. And you have so many options. You have massive damage with Kraken, survivability with shield bow, you have the escape utility or the kill pressure with Gale Force. They are all insanely OP items, and being 350 gold ahead of your opponent towards that spike creates a situation where if you both farm evenly, you can just base and get your spike before they can, and then you can just start snowballing. You're just so much stronger than them. And this is going to stay true for every spike in the game. So 2 items, 3 items, 4 items, assuming that you both are just, dead even, you are just always 350 gold ahead. That can be 3-4 waves of farm, depending on how good you are at CSing. As you know, though, all games are, they're not really snoozers in solo queue. AD carries don't usually just chill and farm evenly, so that was a bit of a hypothetical situation that it's not going to happen all the time. There's going to be all-ins, trades, ganks, dives, gangbangs, whatever it is. Get bot lane is pretty bloody. And the other element of longsword that is very helpful in that sense is the 2 extra pots. If you lose a trade, you get chunked to low HP, and you have 1 potion, you're still pretty fucked. The 2 extra potions on top of that allow you to stay in lane and stabilize, which you can avoid all-ins because you're back at full HP. You can avoid situations where you'd have to recall and miss a ton of farm. Basically, it's a bit of like a grace, it's a bit of an equalizer for a mistake. It allows you to recover from a big mistake. On the flip side, if you're winning the trades aggressively, you can eat your potions and keep the pressure up with the big HP difference. Let's say, for example, you're at 80% HP and your opponent's at 60. Maybe that's not quite enough for you to just threaten the all-in and stay aggressive. But if you're at 80% HP, they're at 60, and you have an extra potion on top of that, you can go back to full, and now that 40% HP difference is gonna make for a great snowball opportunity. You can stay aggressive. And just remember that if you start longsword and your opponent starts Doran's, you're already 350 gold ahead of them on the major spike. So any advantages you can get on top of that by winning trades and keeping your HP high, their HP low, is just icing on the cake. A quick side note about the OmniVamp, which is probably a big question that you might have about the difference. At 2.5% OmniVamp from the D-Blade, you need to do 12,000 damage to heal 300 health to offset the 2 potions. That's a bit unrealistic to happen before your first base, but the main reason why Doran's Blade is still taken on champs like Senna is for the max HP. So for example, Senna's base health is 520. Compare that to most AD carries who are roughly around 600. In certain matchups, you're going to need that extra health to survive all-ins, and the extra sustain that's provided by the potions can be offset by either your champ's kit, for example, Senna's healing, or your support if your support has any form of sustain for you. Caitlyn is also another AD carry where Doran's is starting to become popular again because she also has really low base health. She actually has 510. So you can consider D-Blade on her as well. A couple things that I want to mention in the spirit of being comprehensive is, should I ever start longsword refillable instead of longsword 3 potions? I think the answer is no. It's this weird in-between where you don't quite have the sustain of the 3 potions, and like I mentioned before, you want the potions to recover from a mistake or to snowball lane as hard as possible and deny the enemy AD carry. Refillable just is this weird greedy in-between. I don't like it. And another question I get a lot is, should I always be going cut down with longsword? And the answer is absolutely yes. Every time you do a longsword start, you should consider cut down as an option to do 5% more damage to everyone, including the enemy AD carry, because if they go Doran's, they're going to have at least 10% more HP than you, which is going to meet that threshold for doing 5% more damage at all times. So it's a bit of an aggressive option, and obviously losing that base HP, there's actually this weird upside to it, which gets you more value out of this rune. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this type of video, and if you want to see more informative content like this, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Peace.